Everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. I'm going to have a look at weather the next 8-10 days. Today's video takes us to the end of January up to the 30th of the month. It looks as though the Westerlies will be coming back next week, but I don't think it's going to be too bad down in the south. We're going to keep high pressure fairly close by the southern parts of the country next week, so it could be a pretty decent week actually, with fairly mild temperatures and quite a bit of dry weather. But up in the north, it will be a little bit more unsettled. We'll also have a look at the snow risk for today from the high resolution Euro 4 model, or rather the snow risk for tonight and into start of tomorrow, actually. So quite a bit going on, but before I get on with that, I just want to say about the ads. There's links to articles on most pages, so guys, where go, have a browse through widgets. Any articles that you're interested in, please click through and you'll be able to go off and read those articles. So let's start off with the snow situation. This is the latest precipitation type forecast from the high resolution Euro 4 model, which is a UK Met Office product from the website Weather Online. You can find a link to Weather Online on my links page. I'm going to update the Snow Watch page this evening for a final look at this. We'll have a look at 2 or 3 models of GFS as well. Have a look at that, and we'll also have a look at the high resolution model from the United States as well. So we're going to have a bit of more of an in-depth look at this tonight, but just to quickly show you what the Euro 4 is showing for tonight. Here we are at 6 o'clock in the evening with some light rain or snow down across Wales and southwest parts of England. Mainly rain down in the southwest, but risk of some snow across parts of Wales. Also perhaps a little bit of snow for northwestern Scotland. As we go through to midnight, that all starts to push eastwards. Again, generally rain in the south, so south of the M4 is going to be rain. A wintry mix through parts of Wales into the south and West Midlands. And then coming up into the North Midlands and North West England, that looks like going to be the focus of the snow, really, towards North Wales. Some fairly heavy snow there up towards midnight. As we go through to 6 o'clock in the morning, that gets heavier across the North Midlands. So, again, parts of northern England, southern parts of northern England, down the Pennine Chain in towards sort of Buxton. I think they're going to get quite a bit of snow. And then going down into towards the central part of the Midlands, could be some snow there. That's enough to produce a covering. I don't think you're going to be particularly disrupted by that, but certainly enough for 1, 2, 3 centimetres, maybe an inch of snow on the ground, and a little bit more higher up. Anywhere further south, though, than, say, Northamptonshire, probably likely to be seeing rain with that. And then as we go through to midday tomorrow, still could be some snow there across parts of northwest Wales in towards the north and northwest Midlands. Again, just enough to produce a covering in places, but probably not too disruptive. Rain generally further south, scattered about. And this is the total snowfall accumulation chart up to midday tomorrow. And you see that it is mainly Wales, parts of the North Midlands, northwest Midlands in towards northwest England that gets the greatest risk of snow overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. Maybe a little bit further south in some central east parts of the Midlands, but really it's Wales and the northwest Midlands that we're looking for to be getting, it's not really enough for a snow event, but to be getting a covering of snow in some places. So we'll have another look at it this evening, one final look, taking into account the midday models when they update later on this afternoon. But overall, I'm not too concerned about this. I don't think it's going to be too disruptive, and certainly not for the south and southeast. I'm not seeing any evidence for any heavy snow down there. Just to show how things are going in the stratosphere. You remember we were talking about the southern stratospheric warming that was showing up in the extended range of the GFS model on Sunday. It was toned down for yesterday's update. It was still showing the chance of a warming over the stratosphere, but it wasn't a sudden stratospheric warming. This is the latest run of the GFS model for the end of January and start of February. This is starting on the 28th of January. And let's have a quick run through. This is the Northern Hemisphere view at the top of the pole. And we're getting the warming occurring again over towards Siberia, starting to infiltrate in towards the North Pole. But again, it doesn't reach sudden stratospheric warming levels. So, yeah, we do get a warming coming up at the end of January and the start of February, but it isn't going as far with this warming as it was on Sunday. This is typical of the kind of warmings we've been getting through the winter, really. We have been getting warmings at fairly regular intervals in the stratosphere through the winter. and it's probably helped to produce these colder snaps that we've been getting through the winter. But certainly that is toned down compared to what we're seeing on Sunday. On Sunday, you remember, if you saw the videos on Sunday, we were going up into the red categories with those temperatures at 10 HPA in the top of the stratosphere over the North Pole. When you get into the red colours, then you are going into proper sudden stratospheric warming type weather or temperatures, and that of course is what we're looking for to propagate down and produce proper blocking in the troposphere and possibly lock us into an extended cold pattern. This isn't enough, I don't think, to really kill off the polar vortex, but let's wait and see. The southern stratospheric warming might come back over the next few updates of the GFS model. I'll be keeping you updated about it, but certainly it's toned down its ideas over the last day or two compared to what it's showing on Sunday. 500 millibar height anomalies next for the next week to 10 days. We've got the ECMWF here on the left. The GFS is over on the right. 500 millibars, 8,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure, low pressure being moved around by the jet stream running above. Blue extrapolates to low pressure. Orange is extrapolating to high pressure. So both the ECM and the GFS show this deep trough of low pressure across the eastern part of the United States and in the northeast of Canada in the next week to 10 days. So it can be turning very cold again for them during the coming week. A deep trough showing up there on both the models. That cold air pulls out into the Atlantic and explodes the jet stream. You can see that quite clearly by the tight lines running across the Atlantic, and that sort of brings these areas of low pressure in towards the British Isles. We see with the blue colour sitting out to the west and northwest of the country have got quite deep troughs of low pressure in the Atlantic. The ridge here is down to the south through the Azores. So basically we're seeing westerlies returning as we go through into the week to 10 day period. This takes up to the 30th of January, so up towards the very end of the month, and definitely clear indications there that the westerlies are returning. Now the East MDF does have this ridge lurking up to northeast, so we can't entirely rule out the possibility of bringing in some easterly winds, but I think overall it's going to be the Atlantic that's dominating up towards the end of January. So after this colder spell that we're in at the moment, colder snap, we're going to, I think, find it turning milder over weekend and into next week. The GFS temperature and precipitation ensemble show that we're starting off quite cold. This is the 30-year temperature average just here, the red line. We're below the red line at the moment. We're going to see those temperatures staying pretty cold really through the rest of the working week, and then into the weekend they're going to pick up a little bit, maybe going a bit cooler again, and then into next week they pick up. After that, there's quite a lot of scatter coming through, but overall, it doesn't look as though there's any signal really there to go cold as we are at the moment just here. So lots of scatter, can't entirely decipher what's going to happen really at the end of January and start of February, but within all that scatter, there's probably some sort of a zonal sine wave going on where we go warmer and colder as the areas of low pressure come in. Later on, towards say the 4th, 5th of February, there could be a bit of a cooling trend there, but that's right at the very end of the ensemble. Notice the rainfall spikes and precipitation spikes are coming back as well through next week. So it looks like the Atlantic, after perhaps a drier start to next week in the south, will slowly start to reinvigorate. Here's the GFS for Monday, Monday 26th of January. We're in a westerly flow, man. We've got high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, bringing this flat westerly through across the country. As we go through to Tuesday, we stay in that westerly, high pressure to the southwest, low pressure up to the north. So it's going to be mainly okay down in the south, certainly for the first half next week. Could be quite decent with a fair amount of dry weather, but in the north it will be more unsettled, and eventually I think that more unsettled weather will probably spread to most other parts of the country on Wednesday 28th, probably bringing an active cold front through, turning it wet and windy, and then beyond that it stays unsettled really. This is to Thursday the 29th. We end up on Friday the 30th, sort of in a unsettled westerly flow. This actually brings a little cold snap in on Friday the 30th. It wouldn't last long. Look how strong the Azores high is at 1,035 millibars. The Azores high is the driver this winter, and until we get rid of that high pressure around the Azores, until we push it off towards Bermuda or somewhere like that, as long as we keep that high pressure around the Azores, it's going to be very difficult to lock into a cold pattern. So the pattern just isn't right really this winter, so far anyway, to lock into a cold pattern with that very strong area of high pressure around the Azores. This is a little bit of a cold snap going through on Friday the 30th of January, but very quickly the westerlies would return, and overall the idea for next week is, I think, a return of westerly winds. Here's the ECMWF for the start of next week. High pressure's reaching to the south, the low pressure's up to the north, going to keep England and Wales mainly dry. Could be some frost at night, even to the start of next week, but it's milder up in the north with those westerly flows, and eventually that milder westerly, southwesterly flow does extend across the country as this high pressure sinks more towards the south. So we end up on day 10, Friday the 30th of January. Again, quite an unsettled pattern there. Westerly is probably coming back, and these areas of low pressure could be bringing some wet and windy conditions through at times by the time we get through to the start of February. We go through to the GEM, finally the Canadian, and again it's all very similar. Really spot the difference. High pressure to the south, low pressure to the north through next week. Starts off mainly okay down in the south, but probably turns a little bit more unsettled even into the south, and by day 10, Friday the 30th of January, we're still in the same idea, which is westerlies generally coming through, the high pressure down the Azores, but low pressure to the north, bringing the flat westerly through. Could be little cold snaps at times, but nothing particularly significantly cold for that final week of January. So if you like the cold weather, enjoy the next few days, make the most of it, because I think as we go through to next week, we're going to see, as has been the pattern throughout winter so far, really, the westerly is coming back. It's probably going to turn milder after a chillier start down in the south through next week. In the meantime, we've got the risk of some snow tonight. I think it'll be mainly focused on the North Midlands, possibly northwestern parts of England as well, and perhaps northwest Wales, or northeast Wales I should say. And that could give a covering in some places, but I don't think it'll get down into the south and the southeast. We'll have a final look at it tonight on the Snow Watch page, as we can take into account all of the updates from the midday runs of the models. So come back to Snow Watch tonight if you want to see the final details on this snow situation. I don't think it's going to be a huge problem. I don't think it's going to be all that disruptive. But we'll have one last look at it tonight on the Snow Watch page. That's it for now, and thanks for watching.